Gravel bites into my palms as I push myself up from the dirt road, the echo of screeching tires still hanging in the night air. My husband's laughter fades with his taillights, leaving me alone in a darkness so complete it feels like drowning. I'm Autumn, and 10 minutes ago I thought I was going on a romantic drive with my husband. The taste of blood mingles with dirt in my mouth. My designer dress, the one Marcus insisted I wear tonight, is torn at the shoulder, probably ruined. He'll be furious about that. The thought makes me laugh, a harsh sound that bounces off the trees surrounding this godforsaken stretch of road. "You're becoming a liability," he'd said, so casually you'd think he was commenting on the weather. Then the car door flew open and his hands were on me, and suddenly I was tumbling onto gravel and shadows. My phone is still in his car. Of course it is. Marcus always thinks of everything. I start walking, each step sending sharp pains through my scraped knees. The moon offers just enough light to keep me from stumbling into the ditch. Every car that passes makes my heart leap, then sink. None of them slow down. I don't blame them. Who stops for a disheveled woman on a dark road at midnight? "You've gotten too curious lately," he'd said over dinner, watching me with those calculating eyes I used to find so captivating. Always asking about the business, about Mother's involvement. It's becoming problematic. I should have seen it coming. The signs were there. Hushed conversations with his mother Helen, the missing financial documents, the way they'd exchange glances whenever I asked about the family business. But love makes you stupid. Or maybe I just wanted to be stupid. To believe the fairy tale of the charming businessman who swept me off my feet. A car approaches from behind, slowing as it nears. I tense, ready to run, but then I hear a familiar voice. "Autumn? Oh my God, what happened?" Sophie, my best friend. The one person Marcus couldn't manipulate me into abandoning. "He knows," I say as I climb into her car, "about the documents I found." Sophie's hands tighten on the steering wheel. "That son of a bitch. I told you he was dangerous." I thought I could handle it. I thought if I just played along long enough to gather evidence. Evidence of what? What did you find? I close my eyes, seeing again the numbers that didn't add up, the shell companies, Helen's signature on documents that shouldn't exist. Enough to destroy them both, if I can prove it. Sophie's quiet for a long moment. "You know this means war, right? Helen will never let you threaten their precious family empire." A strange calm settles over me, replacing the shock and fear. Good, because I'm done playing the perfect Carter wife. "What are you going to do?" I watch the familiar streets of our town slide past, thinking of all the times I smiled and nodded at charity galas while Marcus and Helen built their reputation on lies and other people's money. Thinking of how they slowly stripped away my independence, my career, my dignity. "I'm going to take everything from them," I say, surprised by the ice in my voice. Starting with their precious reputation. Sophie glances at me and I see a flash of concern in her eyes. "Autumn, revenge won't fix what they did to you." "No," I agree, touching the bruises forming on my arm. "But it's a start." As we pull up to Sophie's house, my phone starts ringing from Marcus's car across town. I imagine him realizing his mistake, scrambling to damage control. Let him worry. Let him wonder. The game has changed, and this time I'm writing the rules. 3 years ago, I sat across from Helen Carter at her mahogany dining table, watching her slice into a perfectly cooked steak while she explained why I needed to quit my job. "Marketing is such a demanding career," she'd said, dabbing her lips with a cloth napkin. "Marcus needs a wife who can support his ambitions, dear. Not someone distracted by her own." I remember how my wine glass trembled in my hand that night. How Marcus squeezed my knee under the table, his fingers digging in just hard enough to warn me. "Stay quiet. Play nice. Keep the peace." Now I'm back at that same table, watching Sophie scroll through my bank statements on her tablet. The numbers tell a story Helen never wanted me to see. "They've been siphoning money from your accounts for months," Sophie says, her voice tight with anger. "Small amounts at first, then larger transfers after you gave Marcus power of attorney." I trace the wood grain of the table with my fingertip. He said it was for investment opportunities, that we needed to pool our resources for the family's future. The family's future? Sophie scoffs. More like funding Helen's shopping addiction and Marcus's mistress. The front door opens, and Helen's voice carries from the foyer. Autumn? Are you home, dear? I shoot Sophie a warning look. She quickly closes the tablet and slides it into her bag. Helen appears in the doorway, designer shopping bags hanging from her arms. Her smile freezes when she sees Sophie. Oh, I didn't realize we had company. Just catching up with an old friend, I say, standing to help with her bags. My hands shake slightly, but I force them steady. How lovely. Helen's tone suggests it's anything but. Though I do wish you'd mentioned having guests. I would have brought something suitable for lunch. No need, Sophie says, rising. I was just leaving. She hugs me, whispering, "Call me later," before heading out. Helen watches her go, then turns to me with that practiced, concerned mother expression. Darling, I worry about you spending time with Sophie. She's rather bitter since her divorce. Not the best influence. She's my friend. Friends can be dangerous when they're envious of what you have. Helen begins unpacking her shopping bags, revealing expensive silk blouses. Speaking of which, Marcus mentioned you've been asking questions about the business again. My heart races, but I keep my voice steady. Just trying to understand our investments better. Oh, sweetheart. Helen laughs softly. You don't need to worry your pretty head about all that. Marcus and I have everything under control. She pulls out a cream-colored blouse, holding it up. I bought this for you. Isn't it divine? Perfect for the charity gala next week. I take the blouse, feeling the silk between my fingers. Another pretty cage, another distraction. Thank you, I say, the words tasting like ash. It's beautiful. Try it on, Helen insists, her eyes sharp despite her smile. I want to make sure it fits properly. I head to the powder room, closing the door behind me. In the mirror, I see the bruises from last night starting to purple along my shoulder. The silk will cover them perfectly. Of course it will. Helen always thinks of everything. My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. Mother says Sophie was there. We talked about this. Another buzz. Don't make me handle this like last night. I stare at the messages, remembering the cold calculation in his voice before he pushed me from the car. The way Helen will pretend not to notice my injuries at dinner tonight, just like she always does. The silk blouse feels like a noose around my neck. My phone buzzes again. Sophie this time. Documents are copied. Ready when you are. I look in the mirror one last time, straightening my shoulders. Helen's voice calls from the dining room, asking if everything fits all right. Perfect. I call back, my voice honey-sweet. It fits perfectly. Let them think they've won. Let them believe their pretty silk chains still hold me. Soon they'll learn what happens when you cage something too long, when you push someone past their breaking point. Soon they'll learn that some wounds don't heal. They harden into armor. The safe clicks open with Marcus's birthday. He always was predictably narcissistic. Inside, beneath insurance papers and property deeds, I find a manila envelope that makes my fingers go numb. Withdrawal slips, bank statements, forged signatures, my signatures. The numbers swim before my eyes as I flip through page after page. Not just my savings anymore, but my inheritance from Dad. Everything I'd kept separate. Everything I'd tried to protect. All of it funneled into accounts I've never seen. My hands shake as I take photos with my phone. The house feels too quiet, too exposed. Marcus could come home any minute. Helen could drop by unannounced, like she always does. A car door slams outside. I shove everything back into the safe, heart pounding as I spin the dial. Footsteps on the porch, keys jingling. Marcus finds me in the kitchen, calmly stirring coffee like I haven't just discovered how thoroughly he's destroyed me. You're home early, I say, proud of how steady my voice sounds. He loosens his tie, watching me with those calculating eyes. Board meeting ended sooner than expected. He comes closer, kisses my cheek. Have you been crying? Allergies. His hand catches my wrist, thumb pressing into my pulse point. You know you can tell me anything, right? We're partners. I meet his gaze, thinking of all the documents I just photographed. Of course we are. Good. His grip tightens slightly. Because Mother mentioned seeing Sophie's car here again yesterday? She dropped off some old photos from college. The lie comes easily now. Nothing important. Autumn. He says my name like he's scolding a child. After what happened the other night, I thought we had an understanding about Sophie. I pull away, moving to the sink. I understand perfectly. You made that very clear on that dirt road. That was unfortunate. He sighs, following me. But you forced my hand. All these questions about the business, meeting with old colleagues. It had to stop. And stealing my inheritance? Was that unfortunate too? The words escape before I can stop them. Marcus goes very still. What did you say? I turn to face him, terror and rage warring in my chest. I saw the papers, Marcus. The transfers. The forged signatures. Everything. His expression doesn't change, but something dark flickers in his eyes. You went through my safe? Your safe? I laugh, the sound brittle. Half of what's in there was mine. Before you and your mother decided to, his hand slams against the counter beside me. I flinch, but keep talking. How long have you been planning this? Was it your idea, or Helen's? You don't understand business, he says softly, dangerously. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made for the greater good. The greater good? My voice rises. You stole everything I had. I protected it. He moves closer, trapping me against the sink. You think you could manage that money better than me? Than Mother? We built an empire while you were playing at marketing campaigns. Playing? The word tastes like poison. I was vice president of... You were nothing, he snaps. And you'd still be nothing without us. Without me. The truth of it hits me then. Not just the theft, but the years of subtle degradation. The careful, calculated destruction of everything I was. You're right, I whisper. I was nothing, but that's changing. His hand catches my jaw, fingers digging in. Is that a threat? No, darling. I smile, channeling Helen's sweetest tone. Just a fact. The front door opens and Helen's voice rings out. Marcus, your father's lawyer is here about the trust fund transfers. Marcus releases me, straightening his tie. Not a word. He warns, then calls out, Coming, Mother? I wait until his footsteps fade, then pull out my phone. My hands shake as I text Sophie. It's worse than we thought. Much worse. Her reply comes instantly. Oliver Thompson agreed to meet. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. I touch my jaw where Marcus's fingers left their mark, thinking of all the documents now saved on my phone. Of all the years I spent being nothing. I'll be there. I text back. Time to become something they never saw coming. Oliver Thompson's office feels too bright, too exposed. The wall of windows behind his desk leaves nowhere to hide, and my hands won't stop shaking as I spread the documents across his desk. These transfers, he says, tapping one of the papers, they're all technically legal. Marcus made sure of that. But the signatures could be explained away. Power of attorney is messy territory. Oliver leans back, studying me with unexpected intensity. The real question is, why come to me? Before I can answer, my vision blurs. The room tilts sideways. Autumn? Sophie's voice seems far away. When was the last time you ate? I try to remember, but the days have blurred together. The constant vigilance, the pretending, the fear, it's all catching up at once. Oliver's hand appears with a glass of water. Drink this. Slowly. The water helps, but my hands still tremble. I'm fine. No, Sophie says firmly. You're not. And that's exactly why we're here. Oliver stands, pacing behind his desk. Marcus Carter and I have history. Bad history. He destroyed my first company through similar tactics. Legal theft wrapped in pretty paperwork. Then help me, I say. You know how they operate. It's not that simple. He stops pacing, faces me directly. The Carters don't just destroy businesses, they destroy people. Helen's specialty is making problems disappear. A chill runs through me. What kind of problems? Their last daughter-in-law, for instance. Marcus's first wife. Oliver's voice goes flat. Official record says she had a breakdown, moved abroad. Unofficial story? Nobody knows. Sophie grabs my arm. You never told me Marcus was married before. Because I didn't know. The room starts spinning again. All those subtle warnings from Helen about family loyalty, about keeping secrets. All those times Marcus mentioned how unstable some women become in high-pressure marriages. She tried to expose them too. Oliver says quietly. Came to me for help, just like you're doing now. I was too afraid to get involved. 2 weeks later, she was gone. My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus. Where are you? Mother's worried. Another buzz. Come home now. We need to discuss your medication. What medication? Sophie asks, reading over my shoulder. I'm not on any. The realization hits like a physical blow. The coffee Marcus insists on making every morning. The dizzy spells. The gaps in my memory. Oliver takes my phone, reads the messages. They're setting up your breakdown narrative, making sure there's a paper trail of instability. Like his first wife, I whisper. You can't go back there, Sophie says. But Oliver shakes his head. She has to. If she runs now, they'll use it against her. Make it part of their story. So what, she just plays along while they poison her? No. Oliver pulls out a business card, writes something on the back. She documents everything, builds her case. And most importantly, he hands me the card. She lets me help this time. I won't make the same mistake twice. My phone buzzes again. Helen. Darling, we're so worried. Marcus says you've been confused lately. I'm calling Dr. Reynolds. The pieces click together. The long game they've been playing. How long have they been laying this groundwork? How many coffee cups, how many vitamins prescribed by their hand-picked doctors? I need to throw up, I announce, and barely make it to Oliver's private bathroom. Sophie holds my hair back while I empty my stomach. When I'm done, she helps me to my feet, and I catch my reflection in the mirror. Pale, shaking, mascara smeared. I already look the part they're creating for me. I can't let them win, I tell my reflection. I won't disappear. Oliver appears in the doorway. Then let's make sure you're the one writing the ending to this story. I straighten my spine, wipe my face clean. Another text buzzes. Marcus again, his concern growing more demanding by the minute. Okay, I say. Tell me what to do. Because this time, the breakdown they're orchestrating won't go according to their script. This time, when everything falls apart, they'll be the ones who never see it coming. The tiny recording device feels like a bomb in my palm as I slide it into my bra. Oliver's words echo in my head. Get them talking. Let them reveal themselves. Marcus watches me prepare his morning coffee from the kitchen doorway. I haven't touched mine in days, dumping it in the sink when he's not looking. Playing the role of dutiful wife while my hands shake from withdrawal of whatever they've been giving me. You seem better, he says, accepting the cup. More focused. Dr. Reynolds adjusted my medication. The lie comes easily now. The doctor's actual diagnosis sits in my purse. Clean blood work, no trace of the drugs they claimed I needed. Helen breezes in, perfectly coiffed despite the early hour. Darling, you're joining us for the foundation meeting today, yes? My heart races. The foundation. Their perfect money laundering facade. Of course. Wonderful. She touches my cheek, her fingers cold. We need to discuss the upcoming audit. Such tedious business. Marcus's phone rings. As he steps out, Helen's smile hardens. I had the most interesting chat with Oliver Thompson yesterday. My blood freezes. Keep calm. Keep recording. Oh? He mentioned seeing you at his office. She opens her designer bag, removes a manila envelope. Made me wonder what else you've been up to. Photos spill across the counter. Me entering Oliver's building. Sophie carrying files. The timestamp shows yesterday. You've been watching me. We protect what's ours. Helen's voice drops. Like we protected Marcus from his first wife when she became unstable. What happened to her? What happens to all threats to this family? She slides the photos back into the envelope. They're handled. The recording device feels heavier. One confession down. Is that what I am? A threat? Oh, sweetheart. Her laugh chills me. You're barely an inconvenience, though I must admit you've lasted longer than expected. Marcus returns, phone still in hand. That was Dr. Reynolds. He's concerned about your missed appointments. I've been busy. Too busy for your mental health? Helen tuts. After everything we've done to help you? My fingers curl around my coffee cup. One push and it would spill across the incriminating photos. But that's not enough. I need more. The foundation audit. I say carefully. Maybe I could help review the numbers? Marcus and Helen exchange looks. You're not well enough for that. Marcus says softly, dangerously. But I feel better, clearer. I force a smile. Unless there's something you don't want me to see? Helen's hand shoots out, grabs my wrist. Her manicured nails dig into my skin. Listen carefully, dear. You're having an episode. Paranoid delusions. If you continue this way, we'll have no choice but to seek more intensive treatment options. The threat hangs heavy, like his first wife, like all their problems that conveniently disappear. My phone buzzes. Sophie. Oliver found something big. Get out now. You're hurting me, I tell Helen, loud enough for the recorder to catch. She releases me, smile back in place. Just concerned about your welfare, dear. We all are. Marcus steps closer, boxing me in. Why don't I drive you to Dr. Reynolds, right now? The same tone he used that night on the dirt road. Actually, I steady my voice. I'm meeting Sophie for lunch. Cancel it. Not a request. No. The word hangs between us. Small, dangerous. Marcus's hand finds my shoulder, squeezing. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. I shrug off his hand. And I'm late. I grab my purse, heart pounding. Helen calls after me. Don't forget the charity gala tomorrow night, dear. Everyone's so worried about you. I make it to my car, hands shaking as I text Sophie. Got it, Helen confessed, but they know about Oliver. Her response is immediate. Change of plans, meet at the backup location, don't trust your phone. As I pull away, I catch Helen watching from the window, phone to her ear. Marcus gets into his car. They'll follow me, of course. But for the first time, I want them to. Sometimes the best trap is the one they think they're setting themselves. The charity gala sparkles with false promises, just like everything else in the Carter family empire. I adjust my cream silk gown, Helen's latest attempt to dress me like a doll, and watch the security team sweep the ballroom for recording devices. They won't find anything. Not yet. You look pale, Marcus whispers, his hand possessive on my lower back. Perhaps we should skip the presentation. And disappoint your mother? I force a smile. Never. Across the room, Sophie catches my eye. She's positioning herself near the audiovisual controls just as planned. Oliver stands by the bar, chatting with board members, laying groundwork. Helen glides over, champagne in hand. Darling, Dr. Reynolds is here. He's quite concerned about your stability. I spot him in the crowd, the doctor they bought to help gaslight me into submission. My hands shake slightly, and Marcus's grip tightens. I'm fine, I say. but my voice wavers. The room spins slightly. Something's wrong. The champagne. I only took one sip. Are you sure? Helen's concern sounds genuine. Perfect for our audience. You're trembling. Marcus leads me toward a quiet corner. Maybe you should sit down. No. Not now. Not when we're so close. I see Sophie moving toward the stage, flash drive in hand. But my vision's blurring. They must have known. Must have planned for this. What did you give me? I managed to whisper. Marcus's smile is gentle. Terrible. Just something to help with your anxiety, sweetheart. Dr. Reynolds prescribed it specially. The room tilts. I stumble and Marcus catches me, playing the devoted husband perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, Helen's voice carries across the ballroom. I'm afraid my daughter-in-law is having one of her episodes. If we could clear the room. No. I push away from Marcus, fighting the drug's pull. Sophie now. But Sophie isn't at the controls anymore. Instead, a security guard is leading her out, flash drive nowhere in sight. Oliver's gone too. Looking for this? Helen holds up the drive, her smile razor sharp. Really, dear? Did you think we wouldn't have contingencies? The room's watching now. Witnesses to my breakdown, just as they planned. Tell them, I say, my words slurring. Tell them about Marcus's first wife. Poor thing, Helen says to the crowd. She's been having these paranoid delusions, imagining conspiracies, making accusations. The foundation. I try again, but my legs give out. Marcus catches me, scoops me up like a child. Dr. Reynolds, he calls. We need that sedative now. I see the needle approaching, see the pity in the guest's eyes. The story's already writing itself. Another unstable Carter wife, another tragic breakdown. The recording. I whisper, reaching for the device in my bra, but my fingers find nothing. Helen holds up my recorder, shakes her head sadly. Found during the security sweep, dear, along with quite a few other concerning items. The needle slides in. The room grows darker. You'll get the help you need, Marcus promises, loud enough for everyone to hear. Just like we helped Elizabeth. Elizabeth, his first wife's name. He's never said it before. As consciousness fades, I see Dr. Reynolds writing in his chart. See Helen directing security to clear the room. See Sophie being escorted out, her face devastated. They won't just discredit me now. They'll erase me, like Elizabeth, like all their other problems. The last thing I hear is Helen's voice, dripping with manufactured concern. We'll take good care of her. The private facility is very discreet. The darkness takes me, but not before I feel Marcus slip something into my clutch bag. Something small and hard. A phone. Not mine. His fingers brush my ear as he pretends to stroke my hair, whispers words meant only for me. Should have stayed quiet, love. Now we'll have to make this permanent. The sedative pulls me under, but one thought remains. They think they've won. They don't know about the second recorder, the one Oliver planted in Helen's own purse. The private facility's walls are stark white, but the recording playing through the boardroom speakers paints them blood red. Helen's voice fills the room. Like we handled Elizabeth. A tragic accident, of course. These unstable women, they do such desperate things. I watch Marcus's face as his mother's confession plays. Watch the color drain from his features as she details Elizabeth's final days. The treatment that wasn't treatment at all. Turn it off, Helen commands, but Oliver, standing by the audiovisual controls, doesn't move. The board members shift uncomfortably in their seats. 3 days I've been in this facility, playing the broken wife, while Sophie and Oliver gathered the board for this emergency meeting. Mrs. Carter, one director speaks up. Are you saying you deliberately... She's clearly manipulated the recording. Helen interrupts. My disturbed daughter-in-law has evidence of every transaction. Oliver cuts in, sliding folders across the table. Every shell company. Every bribe to Dr. Reynolds. Every cent stolen from Elizabeth's estate after her accident. Marcus stands abruptly. This is absurd. Autumn needs help. Like Elizabeth needed help? I asked quietly. The sedatives they thought they were giving me sit untouched in my pocket. Tell them, Marcus. Tell them how she fought back, how she found the evidence, just like I did. You don't know what you're talking about. But his hand trembles as he reaches for his water glass. The Foundation's real books, Oliver announces, distributing more documents. Notice the signature on the transfer orders, the dates, the amounts. Helen's composure cracks. You're working with him? After what Marcus did to your company? Exactly because of what he did. Oliver's smile is cold. I owed Elizabeth that much. We were building a case together before her accident. The boardroom door opens. A police detective enters, followed by Dr. Reynolds in handcuffs. The doctor's been very cooperative, the detective says, especially about Elizabeth Carter's toxicology reports. Marcus lunges for the door, but security blocks his path. You can't prove anything. Actually, Sophie steps forward, holding up Helen's purse. Your mother's recorder caught quite a bit during your private conversation last night. About making my treatment permanent? About Elizabeth's convenient accident? Helen's mask finally shatters. We did for the family. These women, they come in with their ambitions, their independence. They try to ruin everything we've built. No, Mother. I stand, steady on my feet for the first time in days. You did this. You and Marcus. Elizabeth saw it. I saw it. And now everyone sees it. You stupid girl. Marcus's voice drops to that dangerous whisper I know so well. You think this ends here? You think you've won? Actually, the detective steps forward. This ended the moment you slipped that phone into her bag at the gala. The one recording your entire confession about Elizabeth's murder. Marcus goes very still. What? I pull out his phone, the one he thought would record my final drug-induced confession. You should really check devices before using them as weapons. Oliver's quite good with technology. The detective moves forward with handcuffs. Helen crumples into her chair, her carefully constructed world falling apart. The board votes to freeze all assets, a director announces, and to cooperate fully with the investigation. As they lead Marcus past me, he hisses, I made you. You're nothing without me. No, I reply softly. I remade myself, despite you. The boardroom empties, leaving me with Sophie and Oliver. Through the window, I watch police escort Helen and Marcus to waiting cars. Elizabeth would be proud, Oliver says quietly. It was never just about revenge, I tell him. It was about justice. For her. For all of us they tried to erase. Sophie hugs me tightly. Ready to go home? I look around the facility where they thought they'd imprison me, just like they imprisoned Elizabeth. Where they thought they'd write my ending. Yes, I say. But not to their home. To mine. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's surviving to tell the story yourself. The courthouse steps feel different under my feet today. No more designer heels Helen chose. I wear my own shoes, make my own stride. Marcus waits by his lawyer's car, out on bail for the preliminary hearing. His expensive suit hangs loose, his charm weathered by 6 weeks in custody. When he sees me, something desperate flashes in his eyes. Autumn, wait. He hurries over, keeping just beyond the restraining order's limit. We can fix this. Everything I did for us. No. I meet his gaze steadily. You did it for yourself. Like you did with Elizabeth. Elizabeth was weak. His mask slips, showing the darkness beneath. But you're different. Stronger. We could rebuild everything, better than before. I almost laugh at how well I know this script now. The manipulation, the false promises, the carefully crafted words designed to make me doubt myself. The board approved the merger with Oliver's company this morning. I tell him, your mother's foundation is being dissolved. Assets redistributed to the victims' families. His features contort. You're working with him? After everything I told you about how he tried to expose your fraud years ago? How he and Elizabeth were building a case before her accident? I adjust my blazer. Corporate armor, not silk chains. Yes, he told me everything. The real everything. A court officer approaches. Mrs. Carter, they're ready for your testimony. Marcus steps forward, desperation breaking through. Don't do this, please, If you say you love me, I cut him off. I'll add perjury to your charges. Inside, I pass Helen being led to a conference room. Her designer clothes are gone, replaced by department store beige. She won't meet my eyes. Sophie waits by the courtroom doors. Ready? Almost. I pull an envelope from my bag, the one I found in Oliver's office last night. Elizabeth's last letter, the one she tried to mail before they stopped her. Sophie's eyes widen. Have you read it? No. I turn the envelope over, seeing the name written in desperate strokes. Oliver Thompson. Some stories aren't mine to know. I hand it to the bailiff, watching him deliver it to Oliver in the gallery. Watch him recognize the handwriting, his hands trembling as he holds the last words of the woman he couldn't save. The judge calls the court to order. I take my place at the witness stand, feeling Marcus's stare, Helen's carefully constructed indifference. But they don't matter anymore. Their power was always an illusion, built on secrets and silence. The prosecutor rises. Please state your name for the record. I lean into the microphone, my voice clear and strong. Autumn Ellis. My own name again, not theirs. Former Chief Financial Officer of Carter Industries. Marcus flinches at the title, the position Oliver offered, the one Helen always said I wasn't qualified for. The irony doesn't escape me. As I begin my testimony, I see Sophie typing notes, Oliver clutching Elizabeth's letter, the victims' families hanging on every word. My story weaves with theirs now, a tapestry of survival and justice. The truth spills out, not in angry torrents, but in precise, devastating facts. Account numbers, dates, conversations recorded when they thought I was broken. Each detail another brick in the wall that will keep them from hurting anyone else. When I finish, Marcus's lawyer has no questions. No way to twist this narrative. Outside, rain begins to fall. I think of that night on the dirt road, how lost I felt, how far I've come. Sophie touches my arm. Oliver's waiting with the merger papers. In a minute, I watch Marcus and Helen being led away, their facades finally crumbling. They taught me well, about power, about manipulation, about revenge. But they never understood the most important lesson. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in destroying your enemies, but in rebuilding everything they tried to break, including yourself.